Saints offense improving under Clint Kubiak. 2 pass rushers officially busts in New Orleans. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Off the Bench. T-Bob, Jacob Hester, I believe Nick Underhill will be joining them. The glasses, I know you have a question. So today I had a eye doctor appointment. I had to go for my yearly checkup. And of course, you know, when I go out in public, they said, are you the face of the franchise? Are you the people's champion? Are you the voice of the voiceless? Are you the fastest rising Saints channel in media? I said, yes, 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 yes. They said, are you the one who dismantled Kurt Benkert on YouTube this week? I said, yes. They said, all right, we're going to dilate your eyes. I said, wait, what? Next thing I know, I am blind, cannot focus, cannot see anything. I tried to get an Uber from the eye doctor to the studios. Very difficult. Couldn't see my phone, couldn't focus, couldn't read who was picking me up, didn't know what car was picking me up, didn't know the name of the driver. The driver was irritated because I was wandering aimlessly in the parking lot. Whatever. It all worked out. Normally, people would say, you know what? I'm not going to do a video today. Not me. So I have the shades on that they gave me at the eye doctor because the studio lights are absolutely blinding. I can't really see what's on the screen, but I can hear and I can react. Let's do it.
Nick Underhill. Of course, the Saints back in New Orleans tonight at Yeoman Stadium. I meant to mention this earlier. 7 p.m. tonight, guys. If you want to go watch your New Orleans Saints, it'll be in the Superdome on Friday. Doors open at noon. Practice starts at 1. If you're going to check it out. Nick, how does it feel to be back from Irvine?
It's got to be great for the beat writers. Like, it's got to be great for the guys, Nick, Mike, even, Kat and Ross Jackson and some of the other guys and girls who made the trip. To be out there in Cali covering this team every single day, watching practice, watching reps, reporting. That's tough. Life on the road, man. It's absolutely tough. So I'm sure they are thrilled to be back.
Oh man, it's amazing. It was a long time. Like, it was cool out there. It was great to have practice out there. The weather was awesome from 9 until 11. Sure, it was cool. But like, not being able to go home for 28 days, that's a really long. That's a month. Like,
that is crazy. Like, think about how long that is. Think about 28 days you are away. If I'm gone for 4 or 5 days on a vacation, I'm thinking I got to get back. 28? Yeesh.
That's a 12th of a year.
That's why I retired.
So yeah, getting back last night was that felt amazing. Just kind of felt like, being set free a little bit from just kind of being stuck there. So yeah, no, it's amazing to be back. I could use like 2 days off, but hey, we're gonna keep it rolling tonight out in Yeoman. It'll be cool to finally feel like the fans' energy. That was like a really bizarre and weird situation to kind of have it set up like that, where you couldn't really, feel the energy of the fans. So that's going to be cool. They got that one today. They got a fan practice, I believe, on Friday at the Superdome as well. So yeah.
T-Bob orchestrating behind the glass. Love to see it. Very nice.
It's going to be good to kind of like, it's going to feel real tonight, like when you can hear the fans and everything.
So, Nick, I am the head of the Carnies, and I am prosecuted on the daily, right? Persecuted, I should say. And my response now has simply been, I probably will, but that's for other things. Nothing to do with football.
Yeah.
My response to them has been 16 plays, 95 yards.
So he's talking about the third possession. Third possession of the preseason game, the most important possession so far. Well, the only positive possession so far for the offense in preseason. We covered it really in real time. I made the video right after the possession. I said, I've seen enough. I don't need to see the third strings for either team. I'm going to make this video. So we covered that possession, and it showed us a little bit of what the Saints offense can do. I believe Nicholas is one who tweeted and said something to the effect of, I'm paraphrasing, forgive me, I am blind. By the way, -7 in each eyes. If you have a better or worse score for your eyeballs, let me know. It's always crazy to hear people who have like -9, -10. I mean, that's some Stevie Wonder type stuff. Wonder, I just met her. But Nick, paraphrasing, says something to the effect of, that wasn't even the creativity that this offense can do. That wasn't even showing all of the cards. And so even as good as that looked, apparently, and it's not Clint Kubiak saying this, it's not Derek Carr saying this, this is like Nick Underhill, this is beat reporters who are saying that even that is not scratching the surface of what we have seen in practice and training camp and whatever else. So that looked pretty damn good. Not going to lie. That possession looked amazing. And if that's not even scratching the surface of what this team can do, I'm feeling good.
Okay. How about it? Actually, a ridiculous drive. Like, truly. Like, I mean, 16 plays, 95 drive is as crazy of a drive as you'll find.
With 2 fourth-down conversions.
Let me ask you this. When asked about the drive on the sideline, Derek Carr went out of his way to still say, look, this is very basic sort of stuff that we are calling here in this preseason games. What are the differences that you're seeing in practice versus maybe what was done on that 95-yard drive?
I mean, even when I'm blind, I'm 15 steps ahead because, I mean, they always say it, like whenever you lose one sense, the other senses are boosted. So that's probably why I'm just really firing off here. But I hope Nicholas talks about that tweet.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff we've seen in practice that we haven't seen in a game, and the stuff that we're seeing in practice, it's exciting. Like a lot of motion on a shovel pass to Taysom Hill, like stuff that's just kind of opening up the middle of the defense. They're using some motions in these games, but it's not nearly like what we're seeing. They aren't doing, the stuff that like really kind of at times looks like it breaks a really good defense in practice. So we haven't really seen any of that stuff yet. There's some route concepts that we haven't seen yet. There's stuff they're doing with Chris Olave to get him in different spots that we haven't seen in a game yet. And the stuff we're seeing with Taysom is just kind of, like I said, it's scratching the surface. I mean,
how good does that feel, ladies and gentlemen? How good does that feel to hear that? To me, and that's more of what we've been talking about for what seems to be 4 months, might be 4 months, but it's this idea that we are doing something totally new. We are being creative. We are evolving. We are innovating. Everything has a purpose. Every play has a purpose. Every route has a purpose. Every block, every screen, everything is there for a reason, whether it's to open up holes to run through, whether it's to get receivers open for yards after the catch, whether it's to confuse the defense for a play 2 plays down the road. It all sounds music to my ears, okay? And if that 16-play, 95-yard drive, if that right there is barely scratching the surface and it shows you exactly what this team can do, and some of the looks, the baseline looks, the foundational looks, I mean, I feel right now where I'm sitting, I feel better than ever about this offense. Better than ever as far as like this era. Obviously, not better than ever compared to like the Breeze offenses or those teams. But in this little window of the last 2 years, basically, this is as good as I have ever felt about this team. And it's crazy because it's coming off of the heels of me having to defend the Saints not being a 1-win team, to defend the Panthers not being better than the Saints. Like, that's what we're arguing against. And it's really kind of crazy that you have, and let me put it to you like this. We are hearing from people who are not attached to the team, whether it's Colin Cowherd or Kurt Benkert or whoever, and they're telling you that the Saints might be the worst team in the NFL. They're telling you the Saints might be a 1-win team. They're telling you that Dennis Allen's going to be fired by week 6. They're telling you that the Carolina Panthers are better than the Saints. They're telling you that the Saints may have the first overall pick. All right? That's that echo chamber. Then the people who are the closest to the team, and I'll even take myself out of this, but just like Nick Underhill, widely respected voice, as close to the team as you can possibly get, again, was in California for 28 days. He was in California longer than Kim Kardashian was married to Chris Humphries. Okay? He's as close to the team as possible. The only way he could be closer if he was on the offensive line. I mean, it is what it is. And he's telling you the total opposite of what the Colin Cowherds, the Kurt Benkerts are telling you. He's telling you that this offense has signs that we haven't seen yet. This offense is creative. This offense is good. It's opening up holes for the running game. It's opening up Chris Olave. The offense looks flashy. It's creative. It's innovative. So I ask you this. Who do you trust more? I know my answer. I'm trusting Nick. I trust what he is telling us. I trust what neworleans.football is seeing 28 days in Cali. I trust that way more than Colin Cowherd or Rich Eisen or Kurt Benkert, who doesn't even know who our offensive coordinator is, who doesn't even know what's going on with the team. So there is a huge gap, a huge just void in between the perception of the team and I think the reality of the team. And I'm glad that we're on this side. I'm glad that we're on the side of, I don't know, guys. I don't think they're that bad. Or, I don't know. I mean, this team can win 10 games. I'm not going to lie to you. After the first preseason game, I was like, I don't know. Maybe I've just been on the wrong side of it. Maybe this, like, over 7.5 wins, regular season wins, maybe them winning the division, maybe all that. Maybe that's not happening. Right now, 7 wins, easy. Over 7.5 wins, easy.
Like, there's a... Like, we're limited on, like, what we're allowed to say on what we're seeing, especially, like, during the walkthrough for the first time ever this year. So I don't want to be the guy that brings down that
Look, you got to
Yeah.
maintain relationships. I understand that.
Yeah.
We don't need
Journalistic
to
ethics.
You got to you sign a paper to get, to be allowed to cover it. Like,
Oh,
you're
really?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's not. I mean, I'm sure it's not technically it's an NDA, but I'm sure, which is a non-disclosure agreement, ladies and gentlemen. Again, people forget I was a reporter for the Pulitzer Prize-winning newspaper. I interviewed Robin Roberts twice. Interviewed Nancy Pelosi. Not a big deal, but a lot of the times you get access, and you are told either formally or informally, you better not be sharing things like plays, design, photos, stuff like that. You can't. Nick and the gang can't video the training camp and send out the all 22, right? They can't be breaking down plays like that like they would during the regular season. It is still under wraps.
not allowed to talk about certain. Yeah, I mean, and that's league wide. That's not the Saints. That's NFL wide.
Yeah,
like,
that's everybody.
and
yeah.
we break the rules every day. Like, you aren't even really supposed to formation there and like stuff like that. So, but I mean, there's I think there's a level of just kind of be cool about what you're saying here, and like you guys can get away with a little bit over here. So,
Even like I'm sure what coaches are saying. Like I'm sure they're certainly not supposed to, when the coaches are on the field, they're not supposed to be saying like, oh, and then I overheard Clint Kubiak saying this. I overheard Dennis Allen saying this. Like, you're not going to do that. You're going to keep it to the media availability with the interviews after the practice.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we've seen that just hasn't been out there yet. And, I think the creativity that we've seen right now is like on like a 10 out of 100. I don't think we've seen really any of it to this point yet. So, yeah,
I mean, that's crazy. He's talking about we have seen, and I every time I say we have seen, I remember the days where I could see before I got blinded by the juice that they put in my eyes to numb them and dilate them. But the fact that Nick's saying we have seen 10% of the creativity, 10 out of 100, 10%, that's quick maths, ladies and gentlemen. That's wild. That's wild. And it makes me feel good because the first game was horrific. The 16-play, 95-yard drive, the fact that that's only 10% of what this team can do creativity-wise, whew.
I think there's going to be a lot more, but that drive did look good. I mean, it was needed. The first 2 drives, I think the timing of the passing offense is still completely off, though. I mean, like that pass hit Cedric Wilson kind of in the face mask, but if you look at the all 22 of it, like it's behind and high and late. Like,
yeah. I mean, that was something too that I tweeted out, or I might have said on a video. I think I said it on the video, but I said that throw was horrible. Like, that throw was a terrible, terrible throw. And I had people telling me, like, what do you mean it hit him in the face? It's like, brother, trust me. Look, when I'm all 22 don't trust me, okay? And now I'm glad Nick's backing me up there. Yeah, it was late. It was behind him. It was late. It was high. It was everything you could do wrong. The fact that it hit a receiver in the face doesn't matter. That's a bad throw. And that is why, and maybe we'll do some all 22 and during the season, just so everyone can all 22 together, because that's what life's really all about.
That pass really wasn't there. there was a 19-yarder to Olave that kind of came in behind him. He had to reach back to
The Olave on third down. The Olave, it was like a 3 or 4 yard pass. It was like an out route, but that one was high. Olave saved Carr on that
get
one.
it a little bit. So he threw that same out route, I think, to Olave against Arizona, and it was kind of misplaced there too. So I think there's a handful of things with the timing.
Yeah.
I do believe in, I don't want to be held to this because like it needs to be looked at more. The sample size is too small. Like it does kind of look like Derek's mechanics have changed a little bit. Like it looked like he played a little bit more upright last year, and it looks like he's more in a loaded position this year. So that's a good thing. I kind of want to see if that's a real perception or a misperception based on a small sample. But it looks like, maybe some of the throws with him are coming out a little bit more on time with his footwork. But like,
man, that's crazy to think like an 11-year vet mechanically is changing. But again, Janocko and Kubiak don't mess around. So, and just like I talk about with the driving range, you don't know what they're working on. You don't know if Carr is specifically trying to change a mechanic and he's really working on it. And he's like, okay, I'm going to lose a little bit of accuracy here in the short term, but if I can figure this out in the long term, it's going to make me a better player. We don't know exactly the machinations of what's going on. So you got to factor that all in. That'd be very interesting if that was true. I may have to go back and do a little research on my own to see if what I can uncover.
Maybe it just needs to dial in a little bit more, on the field through reps, practice, being in games, and maybe it'll get there. But there were some encouraging things. I'm not there yet. Like we got fooled last year on an amazing drive and thought the Saints were going to be world beaters on offense. So,
but that right there, au contraire, I think that's the flip side of what we're talking about. I think the drive last year, the opening drive that we looked like the greatest team of all time, I think that was 100% of the creativity. I think that was 100% of what the offense could do. I think whether Carmichael meant to or not, I think we basically showed all of our cards on that drive and said, here it is. Like they treated that drive the same way they would treat the opening drive of the Super Bowl. And Kubiak's doing the inverse, where Kubiak is saying, I'll give you 10%, but I'm sure as hell not treating this drive like a game. I'm sure as hell not treating this drive like any of that. I'm not showing you my hand. So that's a good example of how without context, two things can look wildly different, and you can kind of get wrong on the focusing on the result. You can look at the first drive last year and say we were better last year. It's like, no, because if you have the context that is the offense in its entirety, and then you see the offense this year and say, well, this is only 10% of it. If that is true, then you could deduce that there's a whole lot more to the offense, and I'm glad we're not seeing it in its entirety. There was a lot of big words in there, and again, I'm off the dilation sauce. I might be passing out. I don't know what's happening right now.
1 for 5 or whatever it is, like that's not enough, but it definitely looked good. I think that was definitely the first sign of seeing like, okay, if they're really good at running the ball, this is what it can do for the offense. Like that was encouraging.
Yeah.
They don't have their best running back available. That's encouraging because, he's going to be ready for week 1. So, I mean, there's a
and the offensive line, like we don't have our best running back available. The offensive line's in the total. Who the hell even knows? Felice Fuaga, his back and moving people around. So again, it's not what we saw was good, but what we saw was not anywhere near the top end.
A handful of things that I think are trending maybe possibly the right direction.
Yes.
Nick, I want to go to the other side of the football because there's a couple of edge rushers that I want to get to, and we'll get to Isaiah Foskey a little bit later on. I'll ask you about Peyton Turner here to start off with. What does it say about a first-round pick that people get excited that he had a good rush move and a pressure that didn't even end up in a sack? And I went back and I watched the tape. He actually played worse than I thought he did initially in my first watch. I mean, he just didn't play well the other night. And everybody's like, yeah, but did you see that one move and that one pressure? It's like, okay, you're a first-round pick, and then the preseason, we're talking about a rush move that you had that didn't end up in a sack.
Here's what I have to say about Peyton Turner. Who cares? All right? Here's the deal. Once a pick is selected, you can take the round and all that stuff and ball it up and throw it in the trash because they're on the roster. So the fact that he was a first-round pick, I don't care. What I do care about is that he's not impactful. What I do care about is that he's not good. So I'm not putting in any stock into the idea that he's a first-round pick or whatever. What I'm putting stock into is Chase Young. What I'm putting stock into is Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, Brian Brzee. I love the idea of this like NASCAR package that we've talked about, where we play those four. So it would look like Granderson and Young on the edge, and then Jordan would move inside, and him and Brzee would be on the inside. A little bit of a faster front, bit of a unique front. I love the idea of that. I love it. And I mean, same thing I've said about Trevor Penning, where I just don't get past about a year. I'm not wasting time. I'm not wasting effort. I'm not wasting resources into really focusing on, well, we have to develop this player because we spent blank pick on him. It's obvious to me who is a bust, who isn't a bust, who is developing, who's showing promise, who can do it, who's got the mental, who's got the physical, whatever. So, yeah, it sucks. You never want to draft a bust. Yeah, you know, I'm sure the Niners wish they wouldn't have drafted Trey Lance, but it is what it is. And they did what you had to do. They said, see you later, Trey Lance. But imagine if the Niners would have wasted time, resources, games, whatever, in forcing something out of the Trey Lance pick. Sometimes you swing and a miss, you know, and we've seen a whole lot of swinging and a whole lot of missing with some of these first-round picks. So, good news is that we have the answers. Like, the good news is we have the answers of, you know, I think who is going to be impactful on the defensive line, and what was last year a really weak part of the team, the defensive line, specifically pass rush, right now seems like a strength of the team.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got excited about seeing a couple almost plays myself after after that game, and I mean, it's just like signs of life, you know. It just feels like, you know, I don't know, but yeah, I didn't think it was a great game on the review. I was a little embarrassed that I hyped it up in my initial post game report, because it was like, man, did you see him? He was like right there, and it's just like, that's not enough. You're right, yeah. It's not good. I mean, he's shown it, but it's not good that's kind of the stuff that we're getting excited about. And I mean, I think that is kind of, you know, a little bit revealing that that's kind of the way you view him. You aren't grading him against that Chase Young standard, which it should be. They're both first rounders.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I do think he's going to be a contributor this year, though. So that's a good thing. They're going to get something out of him. I think he can be a fine rotational player, but like, as far as living up to the draft billing, I think, you know, it's pretty clear that ship is sailing.
That's my point. It's like, will he be a rotational player? Will we get something out of him? Cool. But the whole idea, like, well, he is a first-round pick. Like, he probably does need to get more reps. Nah, whatever. Like filter by production. That's how I would do it. Same with going into the season when people are like, you know, let's not give Jamal Williams the ball. Let's have Kendra Miller get a majority of the carries if it's not Kamara. Why? Because we drafted him, because he's younger, because people think he has promise or whatever. How about you just see what they're doing on the field? I'll give you a hint. Jamal Williams looks like a man possessed, and Kendra Miller isn't on the field. So for me, I'm not going to waste Jamal Williams running good, running hard. I'm not going to waste that to force a draft pick to get reps and whatnot. So, you know, that's what practice is for. That's what camp is for. Different strokes for different folks, but that's how I look at you know, recouping, I guess, draft something out of draft pick
at this point. You know, and Foskey, you mentioned him. I you know, it's disappointing there too. I mean, I think you could probably make the argument that, you know, those guys were maybe the worst players out there on the defense in that game. It's it's not going the right direction, I don't think, for either one of them. But I'm extremely more confident in Peyton Turner than I am Foskey. I mean,
word on the street was Foskey was just like, I don't want to say out of shape, but it sounds like he just wasn't physically up to the level to even contribute.
Yeah.
We've seen it at least in practices. Like last year's camp was really good, and then he got hurt. This year you've seen it a little bit more. It wasn't as loud in camp as it was last year, but I think, you know, there's going to be some games where you at least feel like he had a good game. I have no idea at all what to expect from Foskey right now.
I don't even know that he can help you on special teams, Nick, and that's the problem. Like, you're an edge rusher that you were brought in to rush the quarterback. You haven't done that at all, but I'm not even sure you can help us on special teams. As a second-round pick, that's a tough pill to swallow, because
brutal.
okay, we're not going to get the value we thought out of you, but at least you can be a core 4 type guy on teams and give us some help there. He hasn't been great there either.
He hasn't, and it's kind of weird too, because like, you know, I think they've probably done a pretty poor job of drafting defensive ends, period, like up and down. And then Foskey's off type, like he's more athletic, you know, he's a little bit smaller. He's a big school guy. He has real college production. Notre Dame's all-time sack leader. Like that's a real accomplishment. And then
I think too, and Nick kind of hit on it, but when you're whiffing on multiple picks within the same roundage, you know, your top 40 or however the board is set up, but if you are whiffing on those picks, same position, you do at some point have to not look so much at the player as the process. Like who are we scouting? What are we looking for? Are we looking for the wrong thing? Are we looking for something that doesn't impact the game as it used to? Do we need to evolve and innovate our scouting department or kind of our green flags or whatever we want in these players? Like, do we need to kind of shift things? So that probably does need to be talked about internally.
And he just kind of comes in and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the disconnect is. You know, and they've put a lot of resources there, and they're just kind of in this weird bad position where it's a big question mark, and it should be, you know, given the resources, like they should be pumping guys through there. And it's just it's the spot that's just kind of been a black hole for them. Linebacker used to be that, and they kind of figured that out. I don't know what it is at that spot. Like they want the big, strong guys, and you know, on paper, these guys really should work, and Foskey really should work. But he doesn't right now. Yeah. And I don't know what it's going to take to get there. He talked about confidence during the offseason and kind of like losing it. You know, I don't know if what he's doing now is going to help him find it. Like, I don't know what the disconnect is there, but across the board, I mean, it's incredibly disappointing. And I think, you know, if this team doesn't dig its way out of it, I think you can point, I don't know if it's the number one issue, but it's like a top 2-3 issue, like for the deterioration of this team. And like, if those guys are hitting, then you can take the Chase Young money and maybe that's your tackle. Like, it's just the resource allocation.
Yeah, true.
Does
big true. You know, where that is part of it. That is part of it where when you are wasting those resources of draft picks or whatever else, then you do have to go, you know, take money and put it to fill those resources or to fill the hole that those resources have created. And that could go to something else. So, you know, we're lucky to have Chase Young. But obviously, if we hit on Foskey and Turner and the Chase Young money is a tackle, all of a sudden we're looking real good, right? But we're dumping multiple players, multiple contracts into one position or two position because we whiffed on some of those players. So then that's what I'm saying. Like internally, you do have to look at what is our process? How are we figuring out how did he, you know, why did we choose him over blank player? What was the deciding factor, and are we grading that correctly? Just like handicapping games. You know, it's just like when you're betting on sports. If you're whatever your system is, if you're betting it and it's losing, and it's not some crazy variable, you're just flat out losing, you have to look at your system and say, okay, what am I missing here? Like, what am I overweighting? What am I underweighting? What am I, you know, I need to adjust something. I need to adjust the numbers, because if I'm just flat out wrong, even when my system is right, or even when my system is telling me I'm right, then it's not so much the game. It's not so much what's happening on the field. It's more what's happening in your own like algorithm.
Doesn't work. But then on the other side, like they shouldn't need the tackle either, because Trevor Penning should be good. You know, yeah. I still don't really believe in that yet either. So it's just tough on those trenches, man. Like it's so much put there, and they just have not been able to get the right guys.
Wow,
yeah. There you go. Well said. Love it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, I'm feeling real good about the offense. Feeling real good. I have a sneaky feeling. I'm feeling good. I'm not saying we're going to win 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 games. I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying we're going to win the NFC. What I am saying is we're going to compete for the division. We're going to be right there in that 8, 9, 10 win world where pick up a couple coin flip games. You could win this division. You could host a playoff game 100%. I'm more confident every single day that we are not going to be the worst team in the NFL. I'm more confident every single day we are not going to win one game. I'm more confident every single day that we are not worse than the Carolina Panthers. I'm more confident every single day that Dennis Allen's not getting fired within the first month of the season. So we're fighting the good fight. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I'm going to go rest these sweet, sweet, sweet little eyeballs. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.